I'm normally laughing because I do a lot of crazy things before I record. I want to talk today about marketing, not marketing in the way of marketing a product, a service for a business or whatever, but marketing in the context of development. And I think that it is perhaps a stretch. I am perhaps fetching this very far, but when I think of it, this is what makes sense to me. This is how I'm able to make sense of it and make sense of reality as it is and make sense of what people believe and understand to be true. Allow us to think for a moment how, especially, I'll speak mostly for South Africa because that's where I'm from. These are the people that I know. But I believe the whole world, if you think of a Chinese person, maybe not right now because time has since progressed, but if you think of Chinese people 20 years ago, maybe even 15 years ago, you'd be thinking about someone who's gonna, be good at kung fu and gonna whip your butt. You'd like, you can do anything, just don't mess with the Chinese person, because that is what we know them to be. If you think about Indian people, you'll be thinking about you can do whatever, but you cannot dance against, you cannot win a dance off against those people. They're just dancing all the time, dancing and singing. The movies we see about them, they'll just be dancing or they'll be singing. If you think about Nigerian people, it's witchcraft. That is what we see. That is what we know them to be. It's like crazy amounts of witchcraft, people disappearing, people appearing right in front of you, all this crazy stuff. Think about a white American, or essentially just a white person. You think about superheroes. You can be a Superman, you can be a Spider-Man, you can be Iron Man, you can be anything. You can, you're living the dream, you're the American dream, you're chasing the dream, you can achieve anything. It's a world of possibilities. Of course, there's some bad guys, there's all these things that happen, but in general, there's the good guy who mostly wins and does good for themselves, does good for everyone, always gets the girl, and all these stories. This, these, in fact, are narratives that have been pushed or marketed to us by media. And these are so brilliant because you have an idea of what a person is before you even meet them, before you even get to know them, just based on what you see about them everywhere you go. Whether it's gonna be the stories you read, the movies you watch, the videos you see, you have an idea of who they are. And I think that a big challenge that we have as South Africa is a marketing one. Because if you think about the movies, the series, the media that we have seen regarding ourselves, mostly it is negative. Mostly a black person is just going to be a thief. He's going to be working for someone. He's going to be doing something bad, whatever. It's almost rarely, it's rarely, not almost rarely, it is rare that the black person, the black guy is going to be the good guy. It's going to be the superhero. It's going to be the one who saves the world. It's going to be the one who ensures everyone's safety. And we see this marketing having worked in society today, that a lot of people, a lot of young people, even now, you talk to them and they have this idea of a white person being this person that you see doing great things as you see them in movies. An Indian person is a person who sings and dances as you see them in movies. A Chinese person is a person you see who kicks butt as you see them in movies. A Nigerian person is a person who see as someone who does black magic, again, as you see in movies. And a South African, black South African, is a criminal, again, as you see in movies. Now, what we need to understand is that this marketing may not be direct and may not have been intentional. I believe it might have been, but may not have been. If you think about Russians as well, if you think about Russians as these thugs who gonna kill, maybe not thugs, but like you don't want to mess with them. They got the big guns, they got the bombs, they're just gonna mess with you. And again, you've never spoken to a Russian person, you've never been there. You just see what you see is being narrated to you in the stories that you watch. It's all marketing. It's all marketing. It's like someone telling you this car does this and this and that, this ointment does this and that, and this building, this house, this whatever product is allows you to do this. And you believe that because that is what someone is telling you that this thing does. And I think it's high time that we actually start realizing the power of that marketing, and we start using it to our advantage. We start making ourselves look good. We start promoting ourselves positively. We start creating characters, creating stories where black people are heroes, where black people are saviors. I've seen people complain about how there are certain stories about Nelson Mandela that were acted by some American guy. Like, sure, the Americans came and made the movie. Why didn't we make the movie ourselves? Tell our story the way that we know it to be. Tell our story the way that we want our kids to see it. Tell our story using our own people so that when a kid grows up, they understand that there's Ubaba man from this place. He acted as this person and he's this superhero. One thing I've come to learn from watching certain interviews with certain actors is that people who watch television actually go on to believe the stories that they see, the characters. They actually get immersed into their stories, into their lives, and they believe that to be true, such that if they see someone in the street, they don't know their real name. They know the name of the character that that person plays. And they know the story that that character portrays. And that is the person that they believe that person to be. And they're going to sympathize if it's a sympathy story. They're going to be happy if it's a happiness story. They're going to be angry at you if what you did is bad, based on what you did behind the camera. Not because you are that person, but because that is what we know you to be. We all know Connie Ferguson today as Garabo. As much as she's done many other things, but that's the person we know. If we see her on the street, most people, and maybe I might be wrong, but I would bet that most people probably still call her Garabo, especially if it's older people, because that's who she is. That's who we know her to be. That's the person that we fell in love with. That's the person that we know. And if we don't realize that, if we don't create these characters that our kids can resonate with, that our neighbors can look up to, that whenever I feel like I'm down and under, I failed, I've struggled, there's a bully who's bullying me, there's all this stuff that I'm suffering, I'm almost getting depressed. Let there be a superhero who looks like me, that I can say, if so and so was able to go through that suffering, if so and so was able to go through that adversity through which they went, then I can do it because I'm able to see myself through them. That person is a black South African just like I am. That person is a black South African from Bushbuckridge just like I am. But right now, we don't have those relations. If you're going to think about someone who was down and out and they had to get up and conquer, the person you're going to think about is probably someone in America, someone in some place in England. You don't have an example, whether it's real or not, but you don't have an example that you can resonate with. We're out here having our birthday cakes, having Spider-Man, having Superman, having Ban. It's difficult, as much as I can see that, yes, it's Superman, I'm Spider-Man, it's difficult for me to actually tap into that energy and believe that I can conquer, I can be strong, I can save the world, just as these people did. Because at the end of the day, I still sit down and look at them and I'm like, I'm not like them. These people are not me. These people, that one who's kicking that other guy's butt, he's Asian. I'm not Asian. I don't have that in me. That person who is witchcrafting, that person who has been doing something so bad to them, he doesn't look like me. He's from another place. He's different. And it is a very, very, it looks like a very small thing, but it's actually a very big thing when you continuously, repeatedly reinforce that mentality, reinforce that ideology. Because children, as they grow up, they're like sponges. They observe things, they take things in. But it's not that, as much as maybe children don't particularly see a difference in color, maybe sometimes even in gender, and also these things until a certain stage in their lives, there are certain things that they understand that, oh, that one is tall, that's why they can reach there. Oh, that one is like this, that's why they can do that. At a certain point, it also becomes like, so I'm failing right now, but who do I know who has been able to come out of this deep failure as the failure that I'm in? And you look at the examples, and none of these examples look like you. From where do you gather the strength? From where do you gather the courage to say, I'm going to conquer, I'm going to pull through, I'm going to make it happen? So it is important that we actually start, at least ramp up our own marketing, making our own movies, creating our own superheroes. Yes, there's the Black Panther. It's not even our superhero. We have to, our superheroes still have to wait for their friends from America, from the what is this thing? Avengers, to come and help them win something. Rambo didn't need any help. Rambo did this thing by himself. So we need to actually start building these characters that we know would say, there's this person, that person kicks butt, and they make things happen. They don't care who you are. They are strong. They've been down and out, but they conquered. It's a redemption story, and we look up to that. And we need to be creating these movies, these series, these short stories, whatever. We need to be creating them. It's all good and game to be writing stories about Shaka Zulu and how he does this and that. But it's just one person. It has the word Zulu in it. I'm a Tsonga boy. I'm probably not going to relate to that person. It's also a very historic thing that doesn't really come into play into the modern world. We need to be creating these characters that are going to motivate us, that are going to pull us through our hard times, that are going to uplift us when we feel down, that are going to give us the strength to carry on and the strength and the willpower to say, we can actually do this. We actually have this in us. We actually have it in us. There's a lot of stories, even in history, of things that we have done. Why aren't we making those? Why aren't we retelling those stories in movies? Why aren't we creating these movies that tell these stories? Maybe this will be my closing point. I think I may have said this before. I was a bit touched one time. I saw we have a shoe brand in South Africa. It's called Batu, which is a word. It's another word for shoe. And Batu created a line called Kalanga, and I'm made to believe Kalanga is a surname. I think it's a Tonga surname. It's perhaps a bit embarrassing that I don't know this, but that's not my field of expertise. But that be that as it may, I was so disappointed by the number of Tonga people that I saw ridiculing that shoe, regardless of how it looks, because it actually looks good. But they were ridiculing that shoe because of the name that it bears. And I was very shocked that these are people who probably aspire to wearing LV, probably aspire to wearing Doc Marten, they probably aspire to wearing all these name brands that are named after people. Probably a lot of them wear Adidas, that is named after Adi Dassler. He's a German guy. Here's a shoe that looks good, but because it's named in one of your native languages, you have a problem with it. And I just got touched by that. I just got moved by that. That it's a good looking shoe, but because of its name, you're gonna have a problem with it. You're gonna wanna buy some other name of someone you don't know, you don't relate to, but the name of someone that you probably know for you is an issue. And I think that it is a huge marketing mistake that we have allowed to take place over the past few years, and past few years I mean like past 50 years, that we have the challenge of now changing. We have to invest in us creating content, creating movies, creating stories that are going to make us look like superheroes, so that the kids that are going to be in existence in the future, person like me 30 years from now, will believe much more in themselves than the person that I speak to in the streets. Because the people that I speak to in the street now, they don't have that because they don't see themselves anyway. Because the people they see succeeding, creating, building, saving lives, they don't look like them. Let's fix that marketing problem. Thank you very much for watching.